Hello everyone, and welcome back to Animal Planet Vibes. We're excited to have you join us once again on this journey to explore the wild world of nature. Today, we continue with the next episode of our highly popular serious slow-motion captures of breathtaking wild boar hunting shots. Every moment in these videos is recorded using high-speed slow-motion technology, allowing you to witness even the smallest details, from the instant the hunter squeezes the trigger to the bullet leaving the barrel, and finally, the wild boar collapsing to the ground. All of it is portrayed vividly and realistically. These scenes are not just about hunting. They offer a deeper understanding of survival instincts, the tension of the hunt, and the precision required in every decision made deep in the wilderness. Right now, we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy these world-class slow-motion moments exclusively here on Animal Planet Vibes. Many people defend wild boars simply because they see them as pitiful animals or believe humans interfere with nature too much. But they forget one crucial fact. If wild boar populations aren't controlled, it's the farmers who suffer first. A herd of adult boars can number up to 20, each weighing over 200 pounds. They roam into villages at night, destroying cornfields, rice paddies, and sweet potato gardens that farmers have spent months tending. In just a few hours, an entire season's work can be wiped out. Worse yet, wild boars dig up the soil, damage irrigation systems, and even attack livestock pens. Losing crops and animals pushes farmers into poverty, leaving them empty-handed and vulnerable. Protecting wild boars while ignoring the farmers means choosing to protect loss and hardship. Those who have never witnessed these scenes firsthand cannot fully grasp the harsh reality that rural communities face. Hunting is not about cruelty. It's about balance and survival. Wild boars are not gentle animals that only appear in documentaries or picturesque wildlife photos. In reality, they pose a serious threat to rural communities. They don't just destroy crops, they attack livestock, causing severe economic damage to farmers who are already struggling. When hungry, wild boars invade gardens, livestock pens, and in some cases, even attack people, especially when cornered or protecting their young. An adult male boar can weigh up to 400 pounds, with tusks sharp as razors. There have been tragic accidents where people were unable to avoid a sudden boar charge from the underbrush. Those who sit comfortably in cities, watching videos online and defending wild boars, truly don't understand the dangers these animals bring to remote rural areas. Compassion must be placed in the right context. Otherwise, it becomes a form of carelessness toward the suffering of others. Protecting wild boars blindly, without considering the reality faced by farmers, means ignoring the struggles of people who live on the front line of this conflict between humans and wildlife. Many people argue that wild boars shouldn't be hunted because they fear humans are interfering too much with nature. However, in reality, if we don't control wild boar populations through regulated hunting, they will reproduce rapidly and disrupt the ecological balance. Wild boars have a high reproductive rate each. Female can give birth to 6 to 8 piglets per year. With no natural predators capable of keeping their numbers in check, their population grows uncontrollably. In just a few years, a small group can turn into herds of hundreds. When food in the forest runs out, they begin invading farmland and villages in search of new resources. At that point, farmers become the first victims. Crops are destroyed, and the environment suffers as well, with soil uprooted and water sources polluted by boar waste. Without controlled hunting, the consequences are not just economic losses, but a severe imbalance between humans and nature. Hunting is not about weapons. It's about maintaining balance so both wildlife and people can coexist safely. Those who oppose wild boar hunting are often people who don't live in rural areas, the places most affected by these animals. They view the situation through a phone screen, a few photos, or online videos, then quickly defend the wild boars without understanding the harsh reality on the ground. They've never stood in a field devastated by an aggressive herd of boars, nor have they seen farmers in tears as an entire season's work is destroyed overnight. People disconnected from this reality tend to think emotionally, believing that all animals must be protected unconditionally. But the truth is not that simple. Wild boars become destructive when their numbers grow beyond nature's balance. Protecting them blindly also means contributing to the destruction of someone else's livelihood. True understanding only comes when one experiences this suffering firsthand. Conservation is important, but it must go hand in hand with the survival of the people who live closest to wildlife conflicts. Ignoring the farmers' struggles in the name of animal protection is both unfair and irresponsible. Hunting wild boars is not about destroying nature or harming the environment, as many people mistakenly believe. In reality, it is the only effective method to control wild boar populations when they reproduce beyond nature's balance. Wild boars have no natural predators strong enough to keep their numbers in check. Without management, their population grows uncontrollably from dozens to hundreds within just a few years. As their numbers swell, they devastate forests, invade farmlands, consume all available crops, uproot soil, and contaminate water sources. This leads not only to economic losses, but also to serious threats to local ecosystems. Regulated hunting helps maintain the wild boar population at sustainable levels, ensuring that both nature and human livelihoods can coexist in balance. Those who believe hunting should be entirely stopped are actually ignoring the only viable solution to maintain harmony between humans and wildlife. Without population control, the damage caused by unchecked wild boar herds will only continue to escalate, harming both the environment and the people who depend on the land. At first glance, wild hogs might seem harmless, a little cute, with their clumsy gait and curious eyes. But behind that appearance lies a growing threat, quietly spreading across rural landscapes. While many speak out in defense of wild hogs as part of the natural world, farmers whose fields have been torn apart by their tusks and hooves are facing real desperation. So what's right and what's wrong? Is hunting them a necessary act of protection or a cruel assault on nature? In today's video, we dive deep into the heated debate surrounding the fate of a species that's dividing both ecosystems and public opinion, the feral hog. For many people, especially those living far from rural communities, wild hogs aren't seen as a threat, but rather as part of nature's beauty. From this perspective, wild hogs are just another species trying to survive in a world increasingly shaped by human expansion. Animal rights advocates and conservation-minded individuals often argue that every creature has a role in the ecosystem, and wild hogs are no exception. To them, hunting is not a solution. It's an overreaction. They believe that instead of killing, we should focus on coexistence, build stronger fences, use noise deterrents, apply non-lethal methods, or even relocate problem populations. After all, isn't it our responsibility to protect wildlife rather than destroy it? There's also a deeper philosophical view that nature should be left to balance itself. Predators and prey, feast and famine are the natural checks and balances that have existed long before human intervention. From this standpoint, wild hogs are not an invasive species, but simply animals responding to the opportunities we've unknowingly created for them. open farmland, food sources, and fewer natural predators. Should they really be punished for surviving? This point of view tends to resonate with people who see the wild as sacred and self-correcting. They worry that human involvement, especially through hunting, only disrupts that balance further. Videos of hogs being shot from helicopters or taken down by rifle teams are often met with public outrage online. Critics ask, where is the compassion? Where is the line between protecting crops and declaring war on wildlife? And while their arguments may not reflect the daily reality of those who live and farm in hog-infested areas, these voices are powerful, passionate, and growing. They serve as a reminder that in any conflict between humans and animals, ethics, emotion, and empathy will always play a part in that. Not everyone sees hunting as a necessary response, no matter the scale of the damage. While some advocate for protecting wild hogs, those living on the front lines of the crisis often have a very different perspective. For farmers, ranchers, and rural families, wild hogs are not just animals, they're a destructive force that shows no mercy. These creatures can tear through entire fields overnight, ripping up crops, destroying irrigation systems, and leaving behind land so damaged it can't be replanted for months. For people who rely on agriculture to feed their families and pay their bills, this isn't a philosophical debate, it's a daily battle for survival. Many of these farmers have tried non-lethal methods. They've invested in reinforced fencing, motion-activated lights, high-frequency noise machine, 7 hired trappers. But the hogs adapt quickly. They're smart, fast, and relentless. One night of damage can cost thousands of dollars in lost crops and repairs. Insurance doesn't always cover wildlife damage, and most small-scale farmers can't afford to absorb the loss. For them, every ear of corn and every acre of pasture matters. When it gets wiped out by a sounder of wild hogs, it's not just frustrating, it's heartbreaking. That's why so many rural communities support hunting, not for sport, but for protection. Hunting becomes a form of defense of last resort when all else fails. And it's not just about saving crops. Feral hogs can attack livestock, injure pets, contaminate water sources, and even pose a threat to people, especially children. In some areas, there have been reports of hogs damaging vehicles, storming through backyards, and charging at unsuspecting residents. This is not a rare event, it's becoming the new normal in dozens of states. To those who live far away, hunting might look cruel. But to the people living with this threat every day, it's a matter of necessity. They're not hunting out of hate. They're hunting because they've been left with no other option. In the eyes of many farmers, every wild hog taken down is a small victory in the ongoing fight to protect their land, their livelihoods, and their way of life. As the debate over wild hog hunting continues, one question quietly challenges everything we think we know. Are wild hogs invading our world, or are we invading theirs? It's easy to label these animals as pests, as invaders causing billions of dollars in damage. But from another perspective, we're the ones who've changed the rules. Over the past century, humans have expanded into forests, wetlands, and open wildlands, paving roads, building neighborhoods, clearing farmland often without considering who or what lived there before. Long before wild hogs were a national problem, their ancestors roamed parts of North America without conflict. In some regions, the wild hog populations exploded not because nature failed, but because humans introduced them. Domestic pigs escaped or were released into the wild. European wild boars were imported for sport hunting. These actions, combined with rapid development and the elimination of natural predators, created the perfect storm for the rise of the modern feral hog. So now we face the result of our own choices. Wild hogs are not just invading, they're adapting. They're surviving in a human-dominated world by doing what they've always done, eating, reproducing, and roaming. The problem isn't that wild hogs are unnatural, it's that the balance between human activity and wildlife has been thrown off, and in many cases, we're the ones who threw it. This perspective doesn't deny the damage hogs cause, but it adds a layer of complexity to the conversation. It reminds us that the conflict is more than just us versus them. It's a byproduct of larger environmental changes, and sometimes of our own short-sightedness. When we blame the hogs, are we ignoring the root cause? When we fight back with bullets, are we solving the problem or just treating the symptoms? Understanding this doesn't mean we stop acting it means we act smarter. It challenges us to look deeper, to ask tougher questions, and to take responsibility for how our actions have shaped the current crisis. Because maybe the wild hog problem isn't just about controlling nature. Maybe it's about learning how to live with it more wisely. In theory, non-lethal solutions for managing wild hogs sound ideal. Fencing, deterrent noises, relocation efforts, and even sterilization programs are often proposed as humane alternatives to hunting. But in practice, these strategies fall far short of what's needed. The reason? Wild hogs aren't just another nuisance species, they're a biological powerhouse. With reproductive rates higher than almost any large mammal in North America, they can outpace even the most determined control efforts. A single sow can produce 2 litters a year, each with 6 to 12 piglets. That means, in ideal conditions, one pair of hogs can turn into a population of dozens within months and thousands within a few years. Now combine that with their intelligence and adaptability. Hogs learn quickly. They figure out how to avoid traps, ignore sound deterrents, and even recognize human scent. They're active at night, move in unpredictable patterns, and thrive in almost any environments: swamps, forests, farmlands, even suburban areas. Non-lethal solutions may push them from one area to another temporarily, but they don't solve the core problem. In many cases, hogs simply relocate a few miles away and return after the pressure is gone. Sterilization programs have been discussed, but they're slow, expensive, and nearly impossible to apply at scale. Trapping works best in isolated areas, but is far less effective when dealing with large, fast-moving sounders. As for fencing, hogs are strong enough to dig under, break through, or simply bypass most barriers. And when thousands of dollars worth of fencing is destroyed overnight, it's hard to argue that it's a long-term solution. That's why many wildlife experts and landowners believe that without aggressive population control, including targeted hunting feral hog numbers, will continue to rise unchecked. The damage they cause is measured not just in lost crops, but in eroded ecosystems, injured livestock, polluted water sources, and economic ruin for rural families. Humane intentions matter, but intentions alone won't stop a species that's multiplying by the millions. Without bold, effective intervention, the problem will keep growing, and so will the cost of trying to manage it too gently. With strong emotions on both sides of the debate, the question becomes, is there any way to find common ground? Can we balance the need to protect our land and livelihoods with the desire to preserve and respect wildlife? The truth is, there may not be a perfect answer, but a balanced approach is not only possible, it may be the only sustainable path forward. Instead of framing the issue as a battle between hunters and conservationists, perhaps we need to reframe it as a shared responsibility, one that combines compassion with science and strategy with ethics. Many wildlife experts agree that large-scale, unregulated hunting can create its own problems. It can push hog populations into new areas, disrupt local ecosystems further, or lead to suffering if not carried out responsibly. On the other hand, ignoring the problem or relying solely on passive methods has proven ineffective in most high-density regions. That's why integrated management is gaining support, a model that uses targeted hunting, strategic trapping, habitat management, and community education to control populations in a humane, coordinated way. Some programs now use drone technology to track herds more accurately, reducing waste and increasing precision. Others partner with local farmers, landowners, and trained hunters to ensure every action taken is legal, safe, and based on current data. Even conservation groups are starting to acknowledge that in some cases, ethical population control is a necessary part of ecosystem preservation, not a betrayal of it. Ultimately, this is not a fight against naturae, a call to manage our relationship with it more wisely. Wild hogs are not evil. They're simply doing what they're biologically wired to do. But when their survival starts to threaten entire communities, we're forced to respond not with hatred, but with responsibility. The path forward may not please everyone, but if we can approach the problem with humility, respect for both people and wildlife, and a willingness to adapt, we might just find a solution that protects the land, the animals, and ourselves for the long run.